Hello fellow leggers, you are joining us once again in London at the Charing Theatre.
Well, we are seeing the UK premiere of the musical Amour.
So as usual, stick around to hear all of our thoughts.
Yeah, find out how many stars and whether it's break a leg
or leg it. Amour, the musical. Now, I've got to be honest, I've never heard of this.
Okay.
This has passed me by.
Well, there'll be a reason why, and we'll get onto that in a little moment. But you should know that it's adapted from the 1943 short story called Le Passe-Muraille.
Okay.
My French isn't great, by Marcel Aimé. Now, the story's set in Paris shortly after World War II and centres on a shy, unassuming clerk who develops the ability to walk through walls.
Interesting. Now, this is not where I thought this was going.
Okay, well, the first production was in Paris in 1997, where it was massively critically acclaimed and actually won the Prix Molière Award for Best Musical, so their version of sort of the Olivier's, basically.
Sounds epic.
Now, the production, a production directed by James Lapine, opened in 2002 on Broadway.
That famous director.
Yeah, and closed after 17 performances.
Ouch.
It received negative reviews, but was nominated for 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical.
How many performances?
17. It had a few previews and then 17 actual performances before it closed, but it got a nomination for Best Musical at the Tonys that year.
What?
Isn't that
it's a paradox.
crazy?
Okay.
Now, but you know, with that negativity surrounding it and the short commercial run, it's little wonder that it's taken 17 years since then to have its UK premiere. But here it is, with music by the recently and sadly deceased Michael Legrand, who was responsible for over 200 film and TV scores.
Yeah, he's a bit of a legend.
The Oscar-winning song, The Windmills of Your Mind, from the Thomas Crown Affair, which is a huge song. Now, the world of theatre is probably best known for his contributions musically to Boubel and Schomburg's scores for both Marguerite and Miss Saigon.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so I mean, he is musically a genius, right? Died just this year. Now, the production's directed by Hannah Chissick. Her other credits include the UK premiere of Sideshow at the Southwark Playhouse just a few years ago, and also the UK and international tour of Flashdance.
Okay,
starring in Amour is Gary Tushaw, who's just back from playing Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Show on an international tour.
Nice.
I saw him years ago in The Hired Man, where he was ensemble, but he caught my eye even back then with alongside Julie Atherton and the wonderful David Hunter. Love you, David. Also in this production is Alistair Harvey playing the prosecutor. Now, you recognise that name, didn't you?
I recognise the name. He's the original Beast in Disney's Beauty and the Beast here in London.
Wow.
Yeah.
So nice to see him back on the stage and to hear that beautiful, rich tone that he has. 2.5 hours, including the interval.
Okay.
Stick around and we'll tell you what we're thinking by then.
And also to the end to hear all of our thoughts and how many stars.
We've come to the interval of Amour here at the Charing Theatre, which means it's time for the Break-a-Leggers 30-second interval breakdown. So, what do you think?
I am not caring too much for the story, however I think it's really clever translation in the lyrics. I'm enjoying the staging very much and the creativity of the piece and also the choreography. So there are some good parts of this production. How about you?
I admire its uniqueness. I also admire the fact that the songs are so well interwoven. We're not just being sang words at, they feel like complete songs in their own right. For a sung-free musical, I think that's quite the achievement. I mean, I'm smiling, I'm not over...
We've come to the end of Amour here at the Charing Cross Theatre. Firstly, I've got to say, this is the first time I've been in this space since they've adapted it to a kind of traverse theatre.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is now. It is a traverse staging, and it was for Violet, and it is for this, so audiences are on two sides. And
it seems as if that's something they're keeping, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, it adds this whole sort of immersive dynamic to it, really, where people are facing all sides, you're forced to pay attention, but also, I think the joy of this piece is in the staging and in the director that has really embraced that style of theatre. And I've got to say, I'm beaming. I just thought it was a beautiful, just full of heart, full of joy. Not a lot to think about, but some really clever touches of music, lyrics, and beautiful staging, choreography, direction, all working in unison to just have a lovely, and it's called Amour, time.
I didn't have that much of a buzzing time. In terms of the piece, I think the piece is okay. The story I didn't care too much for. Interesting concept, a guy who can walk through walls, but there's so many loopholes in the story you just can't think too deep into it. Like, why isn't he falling through the floor? Why is he able to... Anyway, but hey, I'm not looking too deep.
I mean...
However, but I didn't care that much. However, I do agree the creativity and the ingeniousness of this piece is in its staging, with the cast of 9, a bunch of chairs and some beautiful lighting and some suitcases and some great performances. It makes for a real dynamic, interesting production.
What I would say is it's simple yet complex in its simplicity. The way that it uses certain items to become other items with a fairly bare stage. They've thought, how can we create this in a very different, and like I say, unique is a word that I keep coming back to. I think it's such a unique show.
A unique show. It's just really nice to see creative ideas, and that is what I'm going to take from this, and that is as far as it goes. If you want to see some really nice creative staging, see what you can do on a minimalist level, but with some simple props, and so a spark of creation, you can create some magic.
I enjoyed this way more than I have enjoyed some sort of big budget, flying in set pieces and having a chorus of 40 people. I enjoyed this a lot more than some of those shows because it really just lays bare what it is, and it sort of encourages you to use your imagination, and I think theatre should be about that. It should be, like you said, setting off that spark, and like I say, I think it draws you into a story in a way that you are forced to do a bit of the work, but as a result, you feel more of the reward by the end.
Yes, force you to use your imagination, draw you into the story. For me, no, because there was no substance, no story there. I was just like,
cute. It is.
This
what
is nice.
It's
this
very
is ingenious.
simple.
This is using ensemble in the piece, main character not just singing, but being lifted up, being handed stuff. Just really nice stuff.
Let's talk about the music for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about Michael Legrand and Didier van Colwillart. I've butchered that, I'm sure, on the libretto and music. Now, some of the rhymes, I've got to say, are a little bit cliche.
But hang on, is that then the original text? Because it was originally in French and it's been adapted
by Jeremy Sams.
Jeremy Sams then is where the ingeniousness lies, I think, in the translation and getting the English words. Because I imagine the direct translations wouldn't have the rhymings and would make no sense. So it's Jeremy Sams, I think, is where the genius lies for me.
It goes exactly where you think it's going to go lyrically.
You could predict the end of the line.
You can predict the end of the line, but in a sort of way that I just think is endearing. Like, it is like, I feel like I could write this musical and I just enjoyed this, like, again, simplicity. I enjoyed that sort of sing-songiness about it, that you already know those tunes, and you already know the lyrics. You know, pop songs, the most popular pop songs are those ones that you've heard them for the first time, but they sound familiar.
Okay.
That's what I loved about this. It sounded familiar.
Okay.
But it worked for me a lot better than some other sung-through musicals where we're forced, what is your name? My name is Javert. You know, that it's just sort of put over the music. Whereas
Lega
this...
Simon do not even try to compare this to the work of Claude Michael Schoenberg.
I was only
and
using
Alan
that
Will.
one bit, but you know where those sung-through musicals are just words over some music, like that. But this didn't do that. The songs were fully formed, like it wasn't just words over music, and for a sung-through musical, I think that's, for me, that works well.
Let's move on to the cast members. What do you think about the cast?
I mean, I thought the cast were really capable, and one thing I would say is it loses diversity points because there is barely an ounce of diversity in it.
Yeah,
we
which
get
is a real shame.
Alistair So in the role of Charles, prison guard, news vendor and lawyer, who was really, really capable and the most diverse cast member.
He was. Do you know, all of the cast were great, actually. A real strong ensemble cast. They all get their own individual moments to shine as well.
Yeah, they don't get individual
work
numbers.
Beautifully in harmony as well. So some really nice stuff from the cast.
Absolutely. I would say Alistair Harvey as prosecutor. I mean, you know him best from Beauty and the Beast original cast.
Lovely rich tone.
Underused here, to be honest. I would have liked to have heard him sing a bit more. He does have that beautiful, memorable tone, and every time I heard him, I could hear him, and then she didn't shudder at my my poor. Like I could hear that in his voice, which I really enjoyed. Claire Matchin as Claire and Whore. They're two sort of fancy having that on your
She
CV.
had some real fun moments
Yes.
as well, which she lapped up. Think of those risque moments, playing with the double entendres.
Yeah.
We loved her.
Great to see Steve Serling again after we saw him in We Live and Die in These Towns, playing boss and gendarme too.
He's a lovely guy as
He
well.
is, and-
There's something to be said for lovely guys, you know.
Comic sort of moment, but I think the hardest working person, we'll move on to the leads in a minute, but the hardest working person in the cast for me was Jack Reitman, who was gone on as an understudy today. So
What?
he doesn't
He
usually
melted
play.
my heart.
He doesn't usually play
He was
the
my
roles
favourite.
that he play. Yeah, no, he doesn't usually
I
play
really
them. He's
liked
an
him.
understudy. So he was gendarme 1. He also had the role as the doctor and the president as well.
He's great. He should be on all the time.
I mean, we can't say that
I
because you
don't
don't
know. I
know.
didn't see the
I
other.
mean, you'd put poor
But
Daniel
melted-
Stockton out of a job. Bye.
I really, really liked what
Yeah,
he did.
I just saw how hard he was working, and
Yeah.
it paid off dividends because the audience lapped him up. Absolutely loved that. Let's move on to the lead. So, in the role of Isabelle was Hannah O'Byrne. What did you make of Anna?
I thought she was nice, soprano voice. She worked very much in isolation.
It's not a great part. It's a bit of a thankless task of a part,
Yeah.
but well done for making the most of it. But Gary Two-Shaw as Dusoleil. I've followed Gary's career for a long time now, and I think he's solid. He's, you know what
Strong
you're getting with.
actor as well as a
Great.
strong vocalist.
And that's it. His acting through song is something to be very much admired. I loved that.
Yes, we talked a lot about, I guess that's the cast, we
Yeah.
talked a lot about the staging, creative ideas, but I don't think we've actually mentioned the name of the director.
Hannah Chissick.
Hannah Chissick did really well, and also the choreography.
Matt Cole.
Who also was the choreographer, although it's Joan Robbins' choreography for Fiddler on the Roof, which was over at the Meniere and has gone over to the Playhouse. So, you know, good stuff from over
Wow,
there.
yeah, he's working really hard. So I think that covers everything. So for Amour at the Charing Cross Theatre, we are going to give
4 stars for this piece.
I just think there's a lot of people that are going to love it. It's naughty but nice at the same time, in a way as it's full of double entendres, and there's a bit of French I'm throwing in for you right now. It's sort of a little bit sexy and a little bit salacious, but also safe enough to take your nan to. Those songs just feel memorable and familiar, and ultimately it's a heartwarming story with an uplifting score.
Yeah, it's just really nice, creative. I love this type of staging. I think more shows should have it. We get close with Come From Away, that kind of creative imagining from just using simple props and the company. It's seen here as well. Some really nice stuff in that sense.
But that's just what he thinks.
That's just what he thinks.
What do you think? Have you seen Amour? Let us know down below. Charing Cross Theatre is a lovely space, so do check it out. If
Yeah.
you want to see more of us, hit subscribe. It's great to know you're there, so press the like button. Leave us a comment. We read them all, we promise. We're the Breaker Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.